Now we're going to look at ordering decimals. On occasion, you will have cause to have to either arrange decimals in maybe a smallest to largest sequence or from largest to smallest sequence. So that's what we'll be looking at for the next few moments, ordering decimals. Now, let's say that we had 4 decimals that we needed to place in order from smallest to largest. And those decimals are the very first thing that you want to do when you are ordering fractions is you are going to align them vertically and anchor them on their decimal points. So if we were to do that, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thought that looked a little odd. Like so. Now you'll notice that we have aligned them anchored on our decimal points. Now, anywhere you have an empty space, we're going to fill in a 0 as a placeholder. And then we are going to start on the left and we are going to compare columns of numbers. Here we have a 0, a 1, a 0, and a 1. Was easy to pick out. The 2 zeros are less than the 2 ones. So for the moment, this number and this number is our focus. Now we're going to look at the next number to the right. We're looking at a 1 and a 1. Those are even. We look at the next column to the right. We have a 5 and a 5. Still equal. We look at the next column on our right. We have a 2 and a 2. Still equal. We look at the next column on our right, and we have a 0 and a 6. Which is the smaller of the two numbers? A 0. So this entire number here is smaller than this number. So if we were ordering them in a smallest to largest pattern, this would be our first number. Followed by the one we were comparing it to. So we've already ordered these two numbers. Now our focus is here and here. If we look down our first column, we have equal numbers. When we look down our second column, we have equal numbers. Our next column, we have a 1 and a 1. Those are equal. The next column is a 5 and a 5, equal. The next column, a 0 and a 3. Of the two, this is a smaller number. So here you have your decimals ordered from smallest to largest. Now I'm going to give you 4 decimals that I'd like you to order in a smallest to largest pattern. So in arranging these from smallest to largest, Tim, what's the first thing you're going to do? Align them up vertically, anchored on their decimal point. Very good. Do you have to do that? No, if you can see the numbers in your head, but the easiest way would be to align them vertically, anchored on their decimal points. Okay, here we have the numbers, Tim, aligned vertically anchored on their decimal points, like you said. What do we do with these empty spaces? Add zeros. Very good. Then we compare columns. We look down our first column, and they're all equal. Look down our next column, all equal. Look down our next column, all equal. Look down our next column, we have a 2, a 1, a 2, and a 1. The smaller would be these two numbers here, because they both have 1 in the position where we have 2's. So then we look at the 0 and the 1. This is the smaller number, followed by, so we've already ordered these two. Now we continue looking at these. We have a 2 and a 2. They're equal. Yes, ma'am. This column here. This number here. This number here, I don't think you wrote it down right, because this number here comes from here. Okay? That's all right. So then we're looking at the 0 and the 1. The 0 is smaller, so that is our third number, followed by this one. So this is from smallest to largest in order. Okay, are there any questions on ordering decimal numbers? Okay. Now we're going to look at rounding decimals. Let's look at this particular number. And let's say I wanted you to round this number to the nearest tenth. Okay, when we are rounding decimals, the first thing that I would suggest that you do is underline the number that's in this particular position. Which of these numbers is in the 10th position? Very good. It is the 0. Then I want you to draw an arrow from the number you've underlined to the one to the right of that number. Now, if your arrow is pointing at a number between 0 and 4, you're not going to do anything to the underlined number. However, if the number on the right is between 5 and 9, you are going to add 1 to your underlined number. So, if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we're going to look at the 6. And does the 6 give us the power to add 1 to the underlined number? It does. So when we do that, we're going to add 1 to our underlined number and forget everything else exists. So this number rounded to the nearest tenth would be 17 and 1/10. Now, using this as an example, I want you to round this decimal I want you to round it to the nearest hundredth, and I want you to round it to the nearest thousandth. If we're going to round this decimal to the nearest hundredth, what number do I underline? Very good. And I look at the 2. Does the 2 have the power to round the 6 up? No. So rounded to the nearest hundredth, our number would be 17 and 6/100ths. If I were to round this number to the nearest thousandth, what number would I underline? The 2. And I would look at the 4. Does the 4 have the power to round the 2 up? No. So, rounded to the nearest thousandth, our number would be 17 and 62,000. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm going to have some work for you to work on, and on Wednesday we'll look at adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing decimals.